Hello and welcome to Cutting to the Void in the Post-Truth Apocalypse. I'm Ben, and as always, I'm hanging out with Mike.
Hello.
Claire.
Hey.
And Pete. Hola! Oh, finally, you fucking remember to say something. Well done. Well done. Your mastery of foreign languages continues to amaze and confound us simultaneously.
Once again, though, I had completely forgotten then. I just thought, oh shit, I haven't done Spanish yet.
How did I know? Right, today, we're bringing to you the Waco Siege. We're jumping on the bandwagon. It's the 30th anniversary. 30th anniversary, so I was 10. I don't remember it at all.
I had no recollection of this whatsoever. I'd never even heard of it until I saw a documentary a few years back.
I vaguely remember something. Remember the name. The name sticks out. There's like Waco. It's different. It's a bit weird. That name rings a bell, but I don't really.
Why do you say it Waco and not Waco?
Waco would be a K, I imagine.
There you go, boom.
Like Waco Jacko.
Waco Jacko.
Yeah.
I didn't really know much about it until I watched a documentary on Friday. But, yeah.
Well, right. Well, we bring to you a bit of ambulance chasing, because there's nothing wrong with chasing an ambulance for shameless listens. So, before we get into it, let's thank some new and returning listeners. Who we got this week? Start somewhere in the bottom. Austin in Minnesota. Ryder in Saudi Arabia.
Riyadh, I think.
Riyadh.
Oh, let's see. I spoke Arabic the other week, and we've got an Arabic listener. There you go. Just proves that it's working.
Alright.
Might be a British.
Might be an expat.
Assalamu alaikum.
He's just gone well.
No, he hasn't.
Wednesbury in the UK. Phoenix, Arizona. Brussels in Belgium. Belo Horizonte in Brazil.
Exotic.
How do you say that? Kelowna in Canada.
I'd go with that. Kelowna.
Sandy in the UK, Stevenage in the UK, Bengaluru, India, Haiti in Missouri, Fort Morgan in Colorado, Boardman, Oregon, Frankfurt am Main in Germany, Ashburn, Virginia in the States, and Guadalajara, Spain. Top of the list.
Can I just say, Sandy sounds like a lovely place. It's in the UK though, so I guarantee it's nothing like the name.
It's got them rocky beaches that are just sand.
If it's on the beach, it will be rocky.
It's just jagged rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's completely landlocked.
Yes, yes. Pretty a golf course there. Before we go into the Waco Siege itself, I think it's important we find out about this branch of the Branch Davidians, which is the Seventh-day Adventists.
I suppose who Dave was.
Who David Koresh was, who was the leader of this particular cult. Long before he became the prophet and leader of the Branch Davidians. I say prophet because he thought he was the second coming of Christ.
Yep, direct line to God.
Yeah.
He literally thought he was the Messiah, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
It's impressive. That level of narcissism is amazing, isn't it?
You're not far off that.
Not actually, is it? To be fair?
No. It's all for comedic effect. Or is it?
When filming, we can understand that, but when you're doing it like all the time anyway, it's like, well, come on.
Don't talk that much about invading France. So David Koresh was just a boy. He was born Vernon Howell to a teenage mother in 1959.
So it wasn't even his fucking name.
He changed it later on. He's named for his granddad, who basically shunned him because his mum was a teenage mother. It's 1959 and he got a teenage mum. Unwed teenage mum. Koresh claimed he had memorised both the New and Old Testaments of the Bible by the time he was 18 years old.
God, he needed to go to life, surely.
Brainwashed from an early age, wasn't he?
Or he was just lying. He was known for being able to memorise parts of the Bible, certainly. Whether or not he knew both or all of it, I don't know.
To be fair, he was also known for lying.
Very true. He claimed that when he was a child, God had spoken to him and said, "You're the chosen one, you are my Messiah." That's quoting Mary Garofalo, who covered the events at Waco for the news programme A Current Affair.
If someone said that to me, I'd be like, fuck off, I don't want that kind of pressure.
So if God literally appeared to you right now and said, "Mike, I know you like getting gob jobs from grey aliens, but you're the new Messiah," you'd go, "Oh, I don't want that."
Of course, man. Fucking hell, it's a lot of responsibility, isn't it? Come on.
I bet that, what magical powers do I get?
Water into wine would be handy.
Just want to fly.
There's no magical powers, and you're probably
Can't
just going to
fly.
do a lot of... a lot of suffering.
Well, if I can't fly, then it's a no deal. Sorry, mate. That'd be my take on
You
that.
just get to wander around the planet and wearing a loincloth.
Can I walk on water at least? Yeah, I can. All right then.
Well, that'll make travel easier.
Well, yeah, that's it. I can do it. Well, I'm not going to run or jog, but walk over to France. 20 odd miles, take you a few hours, like, you know.
Yes, you can do it in a day, can you?
Piss easy.
Bit of a trek, but you can do it.
If you walk on water.
Unless you get him taken out by a freak wave.
There's no resistance.
Or a shark.
There's no sharks on the channel. Maybe a few turds. I wouldn't do it barefoot.
We do have sharks.
Dude, on the Messiah, sharks don't bother me. I will like commune with them, and
That's Aquaman.
and they
Yeah, you're not Aquaman.
They will allow me to surf on their backs.
You're not Aquaman.
I'm Jesus, basically.
Jesus was not. He did not have the powers of Aquaman.
How do you know? You're
There's
right.
nowhere in the Bible that says Jesus has the powers of Aquaman. If anything,
Well, I don't
he was
know.
against the fish. He fucking threw loads and never bucket.
Exactly. That's an Aquaman power. If I haven't fucking heard of one ever in my life.
Jesus was
He
not
made
Aquaman.
fucking fish appear.
Maybe he was.
That's an Aquaman trait. That is. Yeah.
You know what? He might have a point.
Yeah, it might
Maybe
be.
we should all start praying to Jason Momoa.
Oh, I'm sure Claire would enjoy that one.
He's a bit of a beast, isn't he?
Is that he was a bit of a beast?
I don't know,
He is
Mike,
a bit
what
of
you're
a
saying.
I wouldn't say no.
So former Davidian David Bunn said when he first met Koresh in the summer of 1981, he thought that Koresh seemed lost. He was kind of a drifter. He had a car that he was driving and he said the Lord gave it to him. He was a very kind of dishevelled guy. He was poor, obviously he didn't have a job, or at least a regular job. By 1983, Koresh had joined a religious sect that called themselves the Branch Davidians, a splinter group of the Seventh-day Adventist Church founded by former Seventh-day Adventist Victor Hoytef in 1934. Koresh fell under the tutelage of Lois Rosen, who took over leadership along with her husband Benjamin Roden from Hootlef after his death in 1955. One of the things that being a Branch Davidian was that you're supposed to separate yourself from the world. The world is the sins, the flesh, and the desires of the world, and you're supposed to be spiritual.
What is it with all these cults, right, that make you completely, like, alienate yourself from the rest of society?
So they can control you, that's
Yeah,
why.
and if you're looking at Facebook every night, you're going to realise there's people having a better time than you, and you're going to become disillusioned and leave.
Yeah, but how do people not fucking realise straight off the bat, like, oh, hold on, why am I being completely shrouded over everything in the world?
Well, that's how cults work.
Yeah.
Well, it's softly, isn't it? You know, they don't just, you know, they sort of draw you in.
I suppose it does take a particular kind of person to be drawn in by it as well, doesn't it? Let's face
You've
it.
got to be a follower, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know,
You got to be a bit simple. Let's face it.
you've got to be a follower by personality, haven't you? You can't be you just want someone to tell you what to do all the time.
Yeah. But it's kind of hard to separate yourself from the world when you're in the world.
This is what I don't get, like, but I can understand, like, if you're born into it and you know nothing else, fair dinghams.
But eventually, that's what you get, isn't it? It's not
Well,
it's not a one-shot deal. You want this to be second. By the time that second and third generations come through, they're completely brainwashed to you, aren't they?
That's no excuse for the 30, 40 families that lived in this commune that were all of the age
No.
of 30, 40.
And that's and you
know what I
and
mean?
you're right. And some of the rules that they imposed. Let's take the big one.
Yeah.
Right? You can't have sex with your wife anymore.
But I can.
But I can. There's only David Koresh fucking in this cult.
What?
Not at this point, but yeah.
No,
later on.
yeah. As we progress, remember at the point of the siege, only Koresh is fucking.
Right.
No one else is fucking, and he's fucking everybody's wife and
Probably the children.
possibly
as well.
children too.
More than likely.
I think probably.
Probably.
More than likely. If not children per se, what they would have deemed like the right age for a lady.
12
And
was
it-
what they said.
Well, there you
The one woman who was in the cult on the documentary on Netflix defended Koresh's sleeping with young girls, saying that they were 12 and that's when you become a woman.
That's right, yeah.
Doesn't matter what law there is, it's God's law that you're 12 and you're a woman.
Disgusting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking sick bastards.
Yeah, and let's face it, things are tough at this school. You know, there's no running water, heat or electricity, and Bible study 3 times a day.
Oh, joy.
For 6 hours at a time.
Koresh, though, actually an accomplished guitar player. We'll give him that. You know, he started to do Bible study with guitars, which at least sounds a little bit more interesting.
Bundy was a good guitarist as well.
Was he? Bundy?
Bundy was he was a bit of a musician as well. Was it Bundy? No, not Bundy. The other one. The one with the fucking crosses on his head.
Manson. Swastika.
Yeah.
Yeah, Manson. The Beach Boys covered one of Charlie Manson's songs, and so did Guns N' Roses.
Manson was
Did they?
quite.
Yeah.
He was quite.
Mate, he was
quite an artist, really.
They were all fucking off their tits together. We'll do a Charles Manson episode one day.
There's an interesting film documentary kind of thing of him on Netflix. I watched it about the same time I watched this Waco because it kind of triggered that for me, and it kind of, you know, when it shows it, you're like, oh, you might like this. I'm like, oh, that'll be interesting because quite interesting, so it'd be worth a watch for anybody really. I can't remember what it's called though, but it's a Charles Manson thing on Netflix. I think it was Netflix.
Fair enough. Anyway, you know when the old lady was in charge of this cult, we mentioned her a second ago. The old lady who was running the cult when Koresh got there. She was like 68. Do you know what he did to her?
Fucked her.
Yeah.
To get power.
He was banging her to get power. She left the cult to him, right? Her son turns up and he's like, nah, Dave, this is mine now.
This is my cult.
This is my cult now. You were just shagging my mum. Right? They come. He goes away. Koresh goes away. Comes back with a bunch of followers, with armed to the teeth. They have a gun battle. Koresh he shoots the son through the hand. He never comes back. Koresh actually goes to court over it. Gets away with it.
What?
Madness, isn't it?
Well, in 1990, Vernon Howell had changed his name to David Koresh, and 2 years later he'd taken over the group, encouraging the use of guns and preaching an ever-increasing brand of apocalyptic prophecy. He believed the group would someday be under attack by the US government and began stockpiling guns and ammunition.
Well, he wasn't wrong, was he?
Yeah, but that's what brought them on! You know, he's got M60 machine guns they've made. They've got the parts, and they've got parts to change the semi-automatic AR-15s into fully automatic ones.
It was when they found out he had a 50 cal.
He's got a Barrett 50 cal sniper rifle.
Grenades.
They've got grenades. They've been making grenades. They've been making and modifying guns.
So they're only one step away from being a terrorist organisation.
Well, that's
organisation.
Claire.
That's what they were.
1.6 million rounds of ammunition, Claire. At least.
They were preparing for he was preparing for something. His followers were completely unaware, I'm pretty sure. Most of them anyway. But he was preparing for something at some point.
Well, the idea is that at the end times they will go up they would go up to heaven, and he would return because he's Christ. Leading Jesus' army. And his followers, I presume, would need the ammunition and the guns.
Obviously he'd know straight away, oh, I know where there's a stash.
There you go.
Fucking hell. But in reality, he had a plan, obviously for something completely different.
It's a possibility. Former followers said Koresh truly believed he was on a mission from God, and he was the only one who could interpret the Bible and its true meanings for the masses. His message changed over the years because he was always looking for the next big thing to teach that would shock people into listening to him. It was important for Koresh to isolate the group from the world, because the world is an influence that is constantly pulling and distracting you from the message. So, yeah, that's why they do it. You don't want someone going. I mean, you've got to have money coming in. I mean, one of the guys was the mailman, wasn't he? So I presume some of them had jobs to provide some kind of income.
But that was probably the extent that they interacted with the world, I imagine.
Yeah, go to work, come back. Former followers said women had to wear long blouses and no makeup or jewellery could be worn. They said Koresh would tell them where to sleep and what food they could eat. Sugar, processed flour and dairy products were forbidden. Sheila Martin, who moved to the compound with her husband and their 5 children in 1988, said, "It was fun as long as we were being obedient." If we weren't being obedient in the sense of, like, I went to the store and bought something that, was being selfish, he would always let us know it wasn't right and we shouldn't have done it. And many times it was in front of everybody. If you were a kid, you used to get paddled by him. You know, that's a bit of grooming, can't you?
Yeah.
Former followers said discipline was constantly administered. Joanne Velager, who was 6 years old when she left the compound, said she remembers being hit regularly as a kid. Being disciplined was like a 24/7 thing. You're raised with just fear. Vega said Koresh constantly told them the end of the world was coming and that they were the chosen people to survive because David was the son of God. She said they were taught to prepare for war and that the end times, as predicted in the book of Revelation, were near. So, you don't trust the government because they're coming to stop you doing this.
Yep, you don't trust the world because it's sinful.
You've got a lot of guns, you've got the Messiah with you.
Who they were all 100% devoted to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's God, isn't it? They're doing God's work. They're going to heaven, they're going to be rewarded. It doesn't matter what happens to them in this life. Imagine having that, you know, it's powerful fucking soldiers, aren't they?
Of course.
They're going to die for you, die for the cause.
And them kids are going to get more brainwashed.
Yep.
It's powerful belief, isn't it?
It's incredible, really. In the world superpower at the time, 1993. Fucking
There's
hell.
never been a cult for, like, good. Do you know what I mean, though? Like, all the cults that these people are, like, 100% brainwashed, devoted, there's never, like, anyone that's... There's never one that's good. They're always a bit fucked up one way or another. They either sleep with
It's the way you
children,
look at it, though, isn't
or
it?
they want to kill everyone, or they want to fucking all drink some Kool-Aid.
They think they're doing good.
Flavour Aid.
Whatever. But...
They think they're doing the right thing. This is what God wants. This is God's plan.
but my point
I'm a
is...
good person. I'm not, you know.
I'm the Messiah.
I'm sacrificing
He's
my
not
life
the
for
Messiah,
God.
but he was a very naughty boy.
But they're never good, are they? Let's face it. They may think they're good, but why has there never been one that they think they're good and they actually are good? Like walk around like, I don't know, doing nice things.
Because
saving
power
puppies
corrupts, and nothing corrupts like absolute power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
That's it.
Obviously,
It probably starts off with good intentions.
yeah.
I mean, unless you're like me, you could read it in.
Obviously, I'm not classing Scientology in this because they do amazing things for the world. That's one cult that I'm lying.
Former followers said Koresh would separate families from each other. Bruce Perry told ABC News if Koresh thought a mother and a child had a tighter bond than between him and the child, then Koresh would tell the parents, you haven't been disciplining them adequately, so I'm going to have this mother raise your kids.
Imagine that.
Oh shit! Fucking hilarious, isn't it?
questioning why I'm still living there.
But this guy's the son of God. He's a prophet.
Yeah.
You've got to do what he says. It's God's will.
Religion, man. Fucking hell. What it does to people.
I did mention it briefly earlier. Koresh claimed all marriages in the group were dissolved and all the women would be his wives. Even though he's technically legally married to one woman, but no, he's fucking everybody.
What's his justification of this, Ben?
Oh, David Koresh's justification for taking all the women from himself was theological. He's the one that had the power, he's the one that had the authority to give the seed. Adding that if he had sex with a woman, Koresh would say that she was in the house of David.
Well, the girls used to quite look forward to
Yeah.
it. They'd feel honoured by it.
Of course.
wouldn't
One woman describes how she felt that she had a private moment with God.
they? Yeah, this is it, and that is what they believed. Isn't
Yeah.
it? So
This was an
they
honour.
genuinely were. If he went and pulled them over to sit by him at dinner or something, they'd be like, "Yeah, I'm getting lucky tonight with Jesus."
I mean, they were
But
tittering like schoolgirls.
But they were genuinely like loved it. So it's just fucked up, innit? They were so honoured that he'd chosen them for the night.
Never.
Oh shit!
What are your thoughts so far?
And he
Claire?
wouldn't just do it with the wives, he'd do it with the children and the wives at the same time.
Well, at first I was thinking like, that's gross. At first I was thinking, you know, it's a bit Scientology, but then now it's just gone to a different level, hasn't it?
It's a bit. Yeah, well, this is what I was saying before. Like cults, they all kind of doesn't matter what the cult is, whether it's Scientology, Mormonism, fucking some of these bloody
Any religion, really.
Well,
It's all a glorified cult, isn't it? Let's face
I know
it.
what you
Except the
mean.
Jedi cult.
No, the Jedi are definitely a cult.
Shit, I didn't even say it was a cult.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
The Jedi religion is not a cult.
It is a cult. It's very much a cult. They abduct children and take them away from their parents to brainwash them and indoctrinate them into their way of thinking. Yeah, it's very much a cult. The fact you get a laser
Protect
sword.
the universe, it's all for good.
The fact, but is it? It's their good.
My point was though, they're all a muchness of a muchness. They're all very similar. They all have very similar principles. They all have very similar rules. The only ones I can really think of that have never gone down that path, Church of England, for instance. It is a religion, but it's
Have you
a
ever
very
seen the militant
loose,
branch of the Church of England?
it's a very loose religion, isn't it? Let's face
Yes, it is, yeah.
It's one of the loosest going. Like, but there's like Catholic and there are many different Christian sects of religion like this.
Yeah,
Apparently.
we've only got Church of England. Henry VIII wanted a divorce. That's the beautiful thing about it.
Well, I think there's a scale of extremism.
Well, it's gotta be, hasn't there?
Cults being like totally extreme.
Yeah.
And then just like a loose sort of religion, religious following at the other end of
Yeah.
the scale, innit?
But it is just funny, innit? All these cults, they all act very, very similarly.
Well, it's all drawn off the same thing, isn't it? It's, it's definitely a cult because to quote Buns, who was in the sect, he said, I'll call it a cult. That's what it was. It's people doing things they wouldn't normally do, like giving up their wives and letting their children have sex with adults, which is crazy. But that's what you do when you're in a cult. He says, someone says they have authority, then impose upon your rules and restrictions and expectations, and it gets down into your soul. It really screws you.
They're victims, aren't they?
Of course they are.
Thing is, it's these narcissistic fucking, I don't know, sociopath fucking... mental
Definitely
case.
narcissists, usually with some kind of other mental illness, isn't it? Narcissism's definitely in there.
Yeah.
Predators,
God
I
complex.
think.
And they prey upon the
gullible.
The weak-willed is a way to put it, I suppose. Like people that aren't quite as savvy as the general population, obviously.
And Claire, what are you going to say? You're a mental health
I think they're
expert.
predators, I do.
Yeah, definitely. And they are preying on. Well, that's what a predator
Yeah.
does, isn't it?
Preying on the
Predator-
weak and the broken people and...
Does
Exactly.
that mean that David Koresh could see an infrared?
Potentially, yeah.
Wow.
Want some candy?
He can't see very much, to be fair, because he died about 30 years ago.
Well, that's true.
So,
Yeah.
he probably saw a lot of red when he was dying. A hell of a lot of red
Yeah.
for the few moments that he'd have lasted.
Well, as you can imagine, it kind of went to shit, didn't it?
Yeah. That's one way of putting it.
I was going to say that, in a manner of speaking, yes.
If you don't know what happened, this is the first time you're learning about it. Yeah, it went to shit.
It went to shit. It's a 51-day standoff. 51 days.
7 fucking weeks.
And we have the timeline. So between late February and April 1993, police officials were engaged in a bloody standoff with David Koresh at his Branch Davidian compound near Waco, Texas. What began as a search and arrest warrant turned into what is the biggest gunfight to happen on American soil since the Civil War.
Mad that, innit, to think. That's
Yeah.
the biggest gunfight, the most
So
ammunition expelled.
They went in for what?
Well,
In May of 1992, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, the ATF, launches an investigation of David Koresh and the Branch Davidians on the basis that Koresh and his cult group were involved in the illegal manufacturing and possession of machine guns and destructive devices, including bombs and grenades. The ATF's investigation found the group possessed 136 firearms, including assault rifles and handguns, 700 plus magazines for those firearms. This says 200,000 plus rounds. I've heard 1.3 million rounds recently.
the documentary said it was within the million, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, this was the first
Yeah,
investigation.
this is what they initially
thought.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
they thought they had, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. 110 upper and lower receivers for AR-15 and M16
Now,
rifles.
at this point, is that illegal in Texas to have them guns?
I'd imagine the receivers, because you're turning them into fully automatic weapons with those.
Yeah, that's the point where it becomes illegal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the grenade launchers.
I don't think they can have grenade launcher. I don't think they can have M203 grenade launchers under the bowels, no. 400 plus empty M31 rifle grenades, along with black powder and other explosive chemicals. That's what the ATF reported.
How did they manage to get all that without the authorities realising? Well, I suppose it's America, isn't it? Yeah.
They were mail ordering stuff. They were being quite creative.
We're very naive
We
here
are.
in the UK on
We
things
are.
like that, though, because in America you can get a gun.
When you open a bank account,
Yeah, let's face it. there's
they
certain
give you a
states-
free gun.
And 30 years ago,
That is
even
mental, isn't
easier. The gun laws have been tightened massively in the past 30 years, so you can imagine it's probably...
Actually, it's been loosened.
Depleted uranium was probably quite easily gettable 30 years ago if you
You're
wanted.
forgetting the main thing here is you could go to a gun show and pay double the price, but get something without any background check whatsoever.
And I believe at some point semi-automatics were banned, and then they were unbanned later.
Fully automatics,
Semi.
right?
You've got a what?
Semi.
Wow, man,
Yeah,
semi talking about guns. Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thunk it? Either way, they've got a fucking arsenal.
Which has piqued the interest of the ATF, let's
Yes.
face it.
As part of their investigation, the ATF goes to interview former cult members, inspect and interviewed a federal firearms dealer, and reviewed documentation showing the purchase of large quantities of AR-15 rifles. With all this evidence, the ATF is granted a federal arrest and search warrant in February 1993 to arrest Koresh, and search the compound. ATF special agents from Dallas, Houston and the New Orleans field divisions are assigned to execute the federal warrants at the Branch Davidian compound on February 28th, 1993. Now, the press have been tipped off about this, so there's a journalist on his way out there and he's ahead of the ATF. And he's lost, he can't find the compound. So the mailman's driving along, he sort of waves at him, stops him, says, hey, I'm a journalist. I've heard there's going to be a big ATF raid going round at some compound round here. Would you happen to know where that is? And
Guess
he
who
says,
the mailman was?
yeah, it's just down there and to the left kind of thing. He's one of them. He works for the mail service. He then drives immediately to the compound to go and tell David Koresh they're going to get raided.
Gives him
Gives
the heads up.
Yeah, but he hasn't got time to get rid of everything, has he?
No, but
He's
he's
got time to get prepared, though, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have gone very differently if that hadn't have happened.
Yeah, because he wouldn't have been prepared.
The Branch Davidians reportedly waited to ambush as the agents unloaded from their vehicles. And as the agents approached Koresh, who was standing outside on the porch, he retreats inside the house and gunfire brushes through the door. One agent is wounded. Now, the ATF claim that the Branch Davidians fired first. Could have been a shaky trigger finger.
Could have been.
As a result of this, all hell breaks loose. A 2.5 hour gunfight.
Constant.
2.5 hours, I mean...
Yeah. They are climbing onto the roofs, the ATF agents trying to make entry into the house. Some of them get inside, people are shot. At least 6 Branch Davidians die. There's more wounded. 4 ATF agents die.
20 wounded.
20 wounded. And they have to literally... No, the Branch Davidians in the house are calling 911 saying, "What? There's a load of agents shooting up shooting up our compound. We've got women and children here. Tell them to call it off." That's recorded. That's the what's it called? Things are written down over a phone call.
Transcription.
Transcript. That's the word I'm looking for. That's the transcript. And it's like, well, all right. They have to negotiate. David Koresh has been an ass in the negotiations, probably because he knows he's sat on 1.3 million rounds of ammunition and people prepared to die.
Yep, and he's been waiting for this.
He's been waiting for it, and because you can't trust that federal government. So yeah,
all these god people just start grabbing guns and firing on like.
They're trying to protect
Yeah.
Jesus.
of course.
They're that fucking mind warped.
Yeah. They're ready to die for him. And they did die for him. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. So 4 federal agents are dead. 20 wounded. It's like a scene from a battleground,
It really
Claire.
is like a
They've got
battlefield, isn't it?
they run out, all the ambulances in the county are there. They're taking wounded out on the bonnets of vans, of the press van for one.
You can see it.
That Terminator scene, that Terminator 2 scene when they got, maybe not the helicopter out, but the chopper. But yeah, all the police all around and that.
In the office building.
Yeah.
They didn't have any miniguns though.
I know, yeah.
Shame, could
I've
have helped
got
them
some
out.
artistic licence in my head.
But some of the
You can see this. You see this in a documentary. It's all been filmed.
yeah, it was all filmed. That's the thing. This news crew are filming it. I mean,
Oh yeah, because they turned up,
Yeah.
first.
What the fuck did the ATF tip off to the press? I don't understand that.
because the ATF were a supremely confident organisation at this point. They'd done a lot of raids and they'd never had a failure. So someone within the things thought, I'll make a few quid here, tell a journalist, or let it slip pissed. Never know, do you?
Nah.
Well, I suppose they wanted the good press from it, didn't they?
Well, that's
They
it.
thought it was going to be,
They've got to act. It's within their full remit to act. I mean, for God's sake, they've got a military-grade stockpile of ammunition and weapons.
But as soon as they know that it's been leaked and they know the ATF are coming, that's it then. They should have...
As soon as literally they pull up and see a press van there, they should have been fucking...
No, but they knew that the reporter had told them.
Yeah.
So they
But
know
that's what I
they're
mean.
prepared. And at that point, you've got to think, well, maybe going in, storming in with 1.6 million ammunition, grenades, people are going to die for the cause. They did apparently.
No, they didn't know that
The ATF knew they'd been tipped off.
Yeah, they did.
The big giveaway was the press van that was sat there.
When they got there, obviously they knew, but yet they should have probably held back. But
Well, they shouldn't have gone in for
carried
the
on
assault.
with the plan.
No.
Once you know that that's been tipped off,
Yeah.
the best thing you could have done is turned around and fucked off and
Yeah.
gone back 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
Get him when he's not expecting it.
Exactly. Wait. Or he's.
But they went in
out.
they went in gung-ho, didn't they?
Yeah,
they
they-
thought this is, like you say,
They're
they're never in
Americans,
losses.
that's what
Yeah,
they do.
I know. And they're like,
Shoot first, questions later.
The
That's
footage is genuinely it's graphic, Claire.
Yeah, it
it
is.
really is. I mean, there's people bleeding out. There's a dead body on the roof at one point. You can see it on the helicopter footage. The blood's dripping down off the roof. He's been shot.
yeah, you can see some blokes carrying dead police officers.
Yeah, there's a body hanging out of the back of the van with its arms dangling, and the guy sort of puts the arm up, turns him over, kind of thing.
Was there an investigation into, the decisions made on the day?
Of course there was.
Of
course there was.
Yeah. But as a result of this complete bungle,
Yeah.
the FBI is named the lead agency in securing the Branch Davidians from their compound, and the hostage rescue team begins to conduct conversations with Koresh. The hostage rescue team, sadly though, is split into 2 groups. You've got the tactical side of things, who are the shooters, the actual hostage rescue team who are prepared with the snipers, and the guys who would go in and take out key individuals.
And you got the negotiators.
And you got the negotiators, and neither side was talking to one another properly. Tactical guys wanted to go storming in, negotiators wanted to get the kids out, especially.
Yeah.
Because David Koresh was like, if they play my tapes on the TV, I'll let out the kids. So that's what they arranged, wasn't it? And you should put it out on the TV, and then he'd let a couple of kids go every hour.
Yeah, that's a little bit later on.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Koresh has been shot as well, and he's taken it through and through to the side.
That was in that first gunfight, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the Koresh reveals that he was shot in the hip and wrist during the initial shootout. Michael Schroeder, a member of Branch Davidian, has been shot and killed as he and others attempted to penetrate a perimeter established by the ATF, the Department of Justice reports. Now, on the 1st of March 1993, this is where the tapes come in, negotiations begin and 10 children are released from the compound. FBI agents in armoured vehicles are deployed around the compound's perimeter, agitating Koresh, who proclaims at least twice that suicide is not being contemplated.
Well, they say armoured vehicles, they were fucking tanks.
But again, a bit later on that was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So
This is probably like Humvees
Okay.
at this point,
This is
armoured
day-
Humvees.
Day 2, isn't it? So,
Yeah. His phone lines are later cut, except for outgoing calls to the negotiators. The following day on Tuesday, Koresh promised to leave the premises without engaging in further bloodshed if a tape that was broadcast by Dallas radio station KRLD He says in the tape, I, David Koresh, agree upon the broadcast of this tape to come out peacefully with all the people immediately. The tape said Koresh did not exit or end the standoff peacefully. 2 women who were later charged with murder due to the initial shootout, and 8 children were released early Tuesday with a recorded tape that would be played on air. Koresh broadcasted a sermon across various radio stations and claimed that God had instructed him not to surrender. Now at that point, if you're the fucking head chap of the FBI, you're thinking, oh God, what can I do here?
Not very.
You got someone who's not going to... You got,
I'll tell you what you should be thinking. You got to take this guy out no matter what.
are you advocating an assassination?
He's
Yeah.
dangerous. He's putting people's lives at risk, children's lives. And that'll come into play later. If he'd give that order out saying, look, get a shot, take him out.
Yeah. And on March the 3rd, 1993, my 10th birthday, the FBI drops murder charges against the 2 elder Davidians who left the compound the previous day. Koresh admits to failing to surrender and claims he is now dealing with his father, to quote him, i.e. God,
Right.
instead of the FBI's bureaucratic system of government. Later that evening, Koresh says the FBI would have to look at some of the pictures of the little ones that ended up perishing after armoured vehicles moved around the compound. Now on Thursday the 4th to Friday the 5th, negotiators carry on talking to him, and 9-year-old Heather Jones leaves the compound wearing a note written by her mother that said that all of the adults would die after the children were out of the compound. Koresh, however, denies that he is contemplating suicide. The FBI concludes the Davidians have got at least 1 year's supply of food.
Proper preppers then, aren't they?
Yeah, well, this I suppose this is what exactly you're right. They're preppers, religious fanatic preppers.
Ironically, by prepping, they brought it on themselves.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? But there's prepping, and there's being like uber prepped. Because even if you are prepping, you still got to stay within the limits of the law, haven't you?
Well, that was their mistake, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, we do with firearms and such, yeah. Food and that, you know, you can prep all you want, can't you?
Oh yeah, I'm just talking about the firearms, really, and the hand grenades.
Yeah.
On the 6th, the FBI say that they're getting frustrated to attempt to negotiate with Koresh. Negotiations continue. The FBI refuses to deliver milk to the children until more of them are released. Koresh reportedly tells the FBI that all of the remaining children are his biological descendants. On the 8th, Koresh reckoned that his wounds were healing. However, they got doctors to watch the tapes, didn't they, of his wounds, and they were like, because he was having his bandages changed on the recordings,
Yeah.
and they were like, those are infected. He's probably got like a couple of months.
Oh.
And on Tuesday the 9th of March, Koresh says he would not communicate with the negotiators after the electricity in the compound is cut off. It is eventually restored. Agencies on the ground notice weapons in the windows and firing ports being placed on the windows. At this point, the Barrett makes an appearance at the window, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, 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 shit!" Because that's, they've got nothing that can match that unless they bring in another. For some reason, they never did they?
Thing is, it pierces armour.
Yeah, when they
Hits
get
a person, chops them in half.
Yeah.
Pretty much. They're
Yeah,
that
no,
fucking
it's
vicious,
huge.
aren't they?
There's no body armour can withstand it, and it'll go through the arm of a Bradley fighting vehicle, which the FBI do draft in later,
Yeah.
and a couple of Abrams A1 tanks, main battle tanks, 60 tons.
God, fancy getting one of them. You've got to take your hats off to him, haven't you?
Well, you wonder where they got the Barrett from?
Yeah.
Must have been a gun show, that scenario.
They're huge.
Probably could have done with 4 or 5 of them though. One's not that effective.
I
is
guess he'll be getting the ammunition for it. I mean, it's all very well having it, but you've got to have a decent supply of rounds, haven't you?
You got to be able to fucking shoot the bastard as well.
Well, that's the other thing.
Because they're not easy to shoot. Because
No.
they're that fucking big.
How would you do that quietly? You know? So on March the 10th, electricity is temporarily disconnected again. Hours of negotiations yield no progress, And so the Davidians promised to release Kathy Schroeder, a member of the Branch Davidians, on March 12th. And on that date she's released from the compound and claims that no mass suicide would occur. She gets lured out after because her child's gone out.
Right.
And they show footage of the kids. They send her some tapes of the kids playing, and her little lad's lying on the floor like really depressed.
He wasn't happy, was he?
Yeah.
So she wanted to go out.
They manipulated her, didn't they? The negotiators manipulated her.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But she was one of the big boys within the compound. She was one of Koresh's inner circle. Probably his wife as well. But one of his wives. So to get her out was a big thing. The problem was, they said, you won't be arrested, we promise. Then there's footage of her on the news.
Getting arrested
And put in an orange boiler suit. So immediately, the FBI has broken its promise, and Koresh Khan is like, no.
No one else is coming out.
No one else.
To arrest us and put us in prison, so no. That's another fuck up they did.
Yeah, that was a fuck up. And it's a huge setback. And a lot of them changed their minds about coming out after that. Because obviously what Koresh is telling them, that the government is evil and wants to stop them celebrating their religion and their right to bear arms. Mm-hmm. Two fundamental American truths.
Yep.
Which the country is built on, effectively.
As long as that religion's, Christianity.
Well, you're meant to have freedom of religion, aren't you? Freedom to practice your religion.
As long as it's Christianity.
Yeah.
Of some form.
True. They're the biggest persecuted majority in the country, Pete, didn't you know? They think they are. I know that much. Well, some of them do. Saturday, March 13th to Tuesday, March 16th, 1993. A member of the Davidians claims that the people inside the compound are cold. Koresh has informed his mother, who has retained attorneys to represent him, and the FBI begins illuminating the compound with bright lights to disrupt sleep, to put additional pressure on those inside and to increase the safety of the hostage rescue team. Members of the Davidian meet with federal agencies at the compound, and the FBI's conversation with the Davidians amounted to 46 minutes. On the next day, though, he prevents another member of the Davidians from having face-to-face conversations with police officials. The FBI then start to say, well, look, we got a loudspeaker. You can come out, we'll be treated fairly. 2 come out, they're arrested. Another comes out, arrested. 7 in total leave, and the FBI now begins playing loud music. So this is the psychological torture now. You've got the bright lights.
Yep.
I can't remember which songs they were playing now.
They were annoying ones.
They were annoying ones. But this is the start of this, because this went on to be used in Iraq, didn't it? For enhanced interrogation. They stick people in a room and play stick Iraqis in a room and play Metallica's Black Album or Barn of the Dinosaur at them. And Iraqis never heard Metallica, it's probably fucking terrifying. No. And Barn of the Dinosaur will be equally as terrifying for 24 hours a day on a loop until you crack because you can't sleep. Doesn't sound fun, does it?
Nope.
On the 23rd of March, another Davidian leaves the compound, can't handle it. And on March 24th, 1993, the FBI plays Tibetan chants and Christmas music in the wee hours of the morning. But that just angers Koresh, who discontinues negotiations. On Tuesday, the March 25th, 1993, Saturday, March 27th, 1993, the FBI gives the Davidians multiple ultimatums, but there's no conversation with Koresh for 3 straight days.
Well, you can't blame him, in a way.
Surely, wouldn't he have enjoyed the Christmas songs? They've been like birthday songs for him, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
They would, and Christ apparently was born in March. It's an interesting one. I guess he's thinking of the blasphemy angle.
Just the fact that it's annoying as folk. Especially in March, you're not allowed to play Christmas songs.
Oh, 1990, so they'd be playing like fucking Slade at him and things like that constantly. I'd crack. I'd be let straight that compound. On Sunday, March 28th, Koresh says he has no intention to die and that he's waiting on a word from God. He sends out a video of 19 children who appear tired but healthy. On the Monday, the following day, the 29th, he meets with police officials for 2 hours in the afternoon. Now on Tuesday, March 30th to April 1st, 1993, there are 2 more meetings between Koresh and police officials. 2 independent religion experts appear on Ron Engelman's talk show, interpreting the Book of Revelations as it relates to the standoff, and Koresh loves the Book of Revelations. It's at this point that the hostage rescue team sat in the garages behind the compound, about 250 yards away, waiting for the order to go.
Storm them?
To storm it, yeah. They want to storm it. They're really... If the ATF are probably seen as bungling fucking cops by these guys, the FBI's hostage rescue team is America's premier hostage rescue team. It's a weird thing. You'd think, like, in this country, if the police can't do it, then we pass it, go the SAS. Like the Iranian embassy siege. The police weren't confident they could take everyone out without civilians dying, so they passed it up the chain to the military. You get the FBI has responsibility in America. They can hand over control to Delta Force, who do the hostage rescue as well, but the FBI would never do that unless they'd already failed once or twice.
And they're all like ex-Navy SEALs and things like that, aren't they? They're like the hardcore.
The Delta Force are basically the
guys.
American equivalent to the SAS.
Yeah.
There's some weird rule about American forces being used on American soil, so that's whenever you see troops at an event, it's usually National Guard, because they're reservists. You know, very rare you see full-time American military on the American streets.
That's why they're always like, call the National Guard.
Call the National Guard. That's why in the movies it's always called the National Guard.
Well, they've got
Why not
1,000
call the Marines?
They've got 1,000 bases worldwide, so they're a bit spread out, aren't they?
Maybe that's the reason all their soldiers are elsewhere. The American listeners can correct me on that, but I believe, I did look into it, I believe that is the reason why it's always the FBI. Yeah, one of the snipers actually has Koresh in his sights one night, and he's been given no authority to fire. And you could have ended it all right there, couldn't you?
He said it was his biggest regret, wasn't it? Not taking that opportunity. He said he'd have been in so much trouble for it, but he could have ended it then. And that would have been it, probably. And then all those people would
I don't understand why the order wasn't given.
You know what? You're right. Maybe he wasn't thought he was that daft to put his face in a window.
The one thing you got to remember about Americans and tactics with things like that, especially in them days, 30 years ago, around that kind of time, you had the Gulf War and things like that, and not too far past you had Vietnam and all the other different wars that they'd been involved in, and you hear about so many fucking stories that the one of them, I can't remember which, I think it was the Korean War or something like that.
Yeah, that was in the 1950s.
It might have been later. I genuinely can't remember what it was, what war it was, but it was one of them, and they were sent to invade a small island, and basically they landed on the shore and went in, but communication wasn't 100%, and they'd sent another platoon in from the other side, and then typical Americans,
Friendly fire.
Typical Americans shoot first, questions later. Massive barrage of fucking shooting later. Both squadrons were dead, and the island was completely uninhabited.
Well,
and it was because of that mentality that they have.
It was like in Vietnam. They used to invade hills, get told to take hills, and then they'd be like a day later, or we're retreating. The enemy would come back in, and then a week later they'd take the same hill again.
Yeah,
it happened
I
over
think
and
it
over
might
again.
have been Vietnam that happened. I'm pretty sure. I heard about it when I was in the army. It was something we were told about, like, you know, you kind of getting taught all your histories and things like that. It was one of them. Whether there's 100% truth in it, I don't know.
They do have a little bit of a reputation for friendly fire, don't they?
Yeah, let's face it. There's nothing much very friendly about it.
No, there isn't. There's nothing friendly about it at all. But they just is a particular American thing.
Well,
we do love you, Americans.
We do.
There was parts.
It's not your psychopathic elites.
No, it's just the psychopathic elites. Just the reputation of the American forces. They do tend to do a bit of friendly fire now and again.
Well, I remember at stages through both of the Gulf War and war in Iraq and that, where there was times throughout the wars where you'd hear about deaths, and they were blue on blue, friendly fire. And there was more people dying from friendly fire.
At the start of the first Iraq War, they shot down one of our tornadoes.
Yeah. Mate, that
was like the first few days. It's like,
the first Gulf War, there was like one of the Apache attack choppers sat about a mile out, and I've seen video footage of it as well, and it's fucking horrifying. It's all the recordings of it. This American Apaches flying across the Bondu, the desert, whatever you'd want to call it, and they see like a group of couple of vehicles and 30 odd blokes, blah blah blah, and they just like, right, ready, allowed to fire, yeah, you can clearance to shoot, so they shoot, blow them up. About 10 seconds after they've shot, like the co-pilot, whatever, just goes, yeah, they were British, they were allies. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So, if you'd have waited that 10 seconds, instead of that whole fucking shoot first, questions later bullshit, because that is the way they play it. I've worked with them, I've been around them, like their forces, and that is their mentality. And it's a shame, really.
Well,
It's why it gets them in so much trouble.
You've only got to look at the Iraq War when they went through Iraq like it was they were playing Doom. You know, a million Iraqi civilians dead. Shouldn't be having that in a Western.
God no.
In a Western war.
No.
Should you?
Disgusting, illegal war, and of course the perpetrators walk free.
But I know,
That's our society.
I'm just comparing that anyway because it was going off topic.
They come back.
Anyway, I think we'll
come back to Waco a second. At this point, it's costing the FBI $1 million a day.
a taxpayer.
They've
them
got,
days as well.
and they've brought in the Bradley armoured fighting vehicles and at least one or two M60 Abrams main battle tanks. Just to, as a bit of added protection. And the FBI guy in charge admits that M60, that M Abrams tank, M1A1 Abrams tank, will just literally go from one end of the compound to the other if he wanted it to. And it would.
Just drive through.
Yeah.
Full speed, straight through it. It wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
Well, they use
Flattening.
tanks later to do that, don't they?
Well, interestingly, one of the guys on the negotiation team says, yeah, but we're not going to do that, right? And the next day he gets sent home and he doesn't come back.
Well,
So far I think we can say that the ATF have fucked it and the FBI are getting short of ideas.
yeah.
We'll continue this in a part 2 when we'll go through the horrifying finale
Yeah.
to the siege.
Some fucked up facts in the meantime.
There's still a whole month nearly left.
Yeah, we're at the end of March. Okay, let's end the show on some fucked up facts. We're back to Waco next week.
Theme tune, please.
Facts, fucked up facts.
Facts.
Can anyone name any venomous spiders?
James.
Venomous as opposed to poisonous.
Yep.
So the Black Widow's poisonous, not venomous.
It's venomous, isn't it?
Is it on the list?
Yep.
Well, there we go, the Black Widow. I'll have that one.
Funnel web. Yeah.
Yep.
So mine.
Redback.
Yep. In fact, you can name any spider. It's a trick question, really. All spiders are venomous.
Oh, they're even house spiders.
Yep. But most can't open their jaws wide enough to bite humans.
Yeah. Or have the strength to
Yeah.
pierce our skin.
That's why I kill the fuckers.
Can I give a little fucked up fact to add to that? Apparently, the crane fly is one of the most venomous.
The daddy long legs.
Yeah, it has one of the most powerful venoms in it known to man. Except they're just not. They haven't got a powerful enough teeth to penetrate our skin in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, so.
Do you think they've been milking the venom from daddy long legs,
I don't think
crane
they've got
flies, and to turn it into
a
some
mouth,
deadly
have they?
poison?
Is that what it is?
God knows.
They've got no way of delivering the poison, have they? The venom.
Do they milk it from them to use as poison as a biological agent?
Let's try.
And sell it to the highest bidder?
Yeah, man. I'm on it.
In 1423, London Mayor Dick Whittington
Yep.
established a 128-seater toilet that hung over the River Thames.
Oh, classy! Drop straight into the river. Ooh, that'd be nice.
Kind of better than in the street, though, isn't it?
Oh, God,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
It
yeah,
was a
was
step
that?
up.
Yeah.
1423.
Wow, really? So after the plague or during the plague? Just after? I don't know. That was with the plague. No, was it after the plague?
1500.
Can't remember. No, the plague was like 1300s or something.
Is it?
I think it came back, didn't it?
But it came back every decade, really. We'll do the Black Death as an episode one day, maybe for Christmas.
It'd be a good cheery Christmas one,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
Still, I like the idea of crapping straight in the river. You can do that on Bangor Pier. The bogs at the end of the pier.
I'm sure I saw my turd float past when I was there.
Did you put a little Union Jack in it? As it went down. But yeah, you crapped in the water. There's literally a wooden seat with a hole, and you crap straight into the sea.
No.
You're well far out. It's a little bit you can't. I don't think you swim there anyway. Unless you want a turd in the face.
Swing under the pier and it just drops onto you.
No!
Oh, yuck.
And if you might get a bit of salt spray on your ass cheeks occasionally. If it's choppy enough, who knows? We've got refreshing, like a B-day. Nature's B-day.
The very first winner of the prize for the oddest book title of the year was Proceedings of the Second International Workshop on Nude Mice.
Okay, that's pretty weird.
Who the fuck is going to read that?
Who wrote it?
What do you mean, who's going to read? I'm intrigued.
How are they nude? Are they just normal? Or do they...
Have they shaved them?
Are they shaved? That's what I was thinking.
Read it to me again.
Proceedings of the Second International Workshop on Nude Mice.
International?
An international workshop on nude mice? God, I hope they're not having sex with mice.
There's basically one man in America and one man in fucking Japan who both have a funny thing for nude mice, and they've come up with this. That's how they're the international. Makes it sound bigger than it is. I am intrigued though.
If SUVs were a country, they would be the 6th most polluting in the world, with annual emissions of almost 1 billion tonnes of CO2.
Well, yeah, that's kind of obvious, isn't it though?
Yeah, really. Wouldn't mind
Just
a
shows how
Hummer,
many of them. Just goes to show how many of them there are, isn't it?
I'd like a Hummer, though.
Innit? It's America.
Yeah, but I still want a Hummer. If I could have a Hummer, I'd have a Hummer.
Have you seen how big they are in
Yeah.
real life?
Ridiculous.
They are stupid, aren't they?
And they
They
do
only
like...
just fit on our roads, Ben.
I know, but how ace would it be?
You'd have to move to America.
I can't use that my... Well, I suppose I'll widen other roads and I'm in charge.
I've often dreamt of 8 miles per gallon when it costs nearly, well, £1.70 nearly for a fucking litre.
I think on Top Gear, when Hammond floored it and got it to about 60, it was doing about 2 miles to the gallon.
Shit.
Ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, when I lived in Saudi, we had a V8 fucking 7 litre beastie Chevy Blazer that was an absolute monster. But petrol was...
You're living in the land of petrol.
Petrol was...
Ooh, the land of petrol.
It was 33.3 halalas per litre, and at the time...
What's a halala?
That's an equivalent like penny to a real.
So it's 33 pence.
But a real was only worth 17p anyway, so it's about a third of 17p, whatever that is.
Wow.
6p. 6p a litre it would have been. So you didn't give a shit how many miles to the gallon it did, because they had big old fucking petrol tanks anyway, and it was literally like 10 a penny kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Stupid.
Well, it's the land of petrol, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's where they make it. It's going to be cheaper there than anywhere.
Yeah.
Shall I have a couple more?
Go on then.
Lockdowns in 2020 were identifiable on seismologist sensors because humans stopped making the Earth wobble so much by moving about.
Yeah, ace.
Never.
Mad, innit?
I like that.
Also, look how little it rained. I reckon there's a definite link with industry and rain, isn't there?
We did have that 30-degree heat wave, didn't we?
Well, it literally
I was on furlough. It was fucking amazing.
It didn't rain for like 3 fucking months.
Yeah, it didn't. No, it was like
From like the beginning of lockdown, for fuck's sake.
It's the pinkest
Up
I've
until,
ever been.
June, it barely rained at all, and we had heat wave upon heat wave. It was glorious weather. Every fucker was at home enjoying it, getting paid.
Oh yeah.
I was working my tits off, just not enjoying it.
Yeah, hero P. Is that what you want me to say?
Yeah,
But I was
yeah.
also a hero for enjoying furlough.
Never got anything for being a hero though.
We clapped for you.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciated that clap.
Yeah.
I bet you did. I bet it really lifted your spirits as you were driving along.
I feel for you, mate. It was bullshit. You were left to...
I had
Breathing on
no
the
fucking,
vine.
I had no
Yeah.
PPE, no nothing, mate. We were all petrified at that point because
I
it was
bet.
so fucking scary, the way it was being portrayed. And we were getting little notes on our fucking deliveries. I was having to deliver shopping to people's houses, and we were getting little notes on the doorways, like, we've got COVID. And you'd be like, oh shit, have they touched the... Oh no, I've just touched the door, I've just dinged on the doorbell. Oh no, I've touched the gate. Oh shit. It was...
You mean they hadn't painted a red cross on the door in true vintage fashion?
No, but I did.
I'm slightly disappointed.
I did.
Yeah.
I had a paint can with me, so when I had that, I'd quickly do a big red cross on the door, just to make sure all the neighbours knew.
I made a fortune going around with a car. I didn't really, that's terrible. It's a terrible thing to say, I apologise. It's family name, innit? You can guarantee that's how my family got his last name. You can guarantee we were the dudes for being the opportunists during the Black
Collect
Death.
your dead!
Bring out your dead!
Yeah.
Bring out your dead! We've got all the cards for making a fucking killing.
Yep.
And Carters.
Yeah.
Crafty.
Sensible opportunists.
Moving on.
Okay, and finally, in 1606, Viennese goldsmiths created a golden mechanical robot of Diana riding a centaur
Ooh.
that moved randomly around a table before firing its arrow at someone who then had to finish their drink.
That's
Oh,
fantastic.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Old school drinking games.
With a golden statue of a centaur with a naked chick.
It's quite cool.
Yeah.
That was exquisite.
I want one.
So do I. Why isn't that available to buy?
You know what you're getting me for my birthday this year, guys? Don't chip in.
Be an awesome gimmick in a pub, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, we'll have to go
Sponsored by Strongbow. The arrow in it. There you go, Strongbow executives, get on it.
Don't copyright it, you fucker! I'll take it off you and not give you any money. How much do you think the pod's going to grow? And on that note, let's end the show. You can follow us on Facebook at Cutting Through the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse, YouTube at Apocalypse Bull, and SoundCloud and most other podcasting platforms as Cutting Through the Bull in the PTA. I've been Ben, and I'm going to say, don't join the Frave Raid, don't join the cult, and don't live anywhere where you can't fuck your wife.
I've been Mike, thanks for listening, peace out, may the force be with you.
I've been Claire. Keep an open mind, but not so open that it spills out your ears.
And I've been Pete. Hope you all have a nice week. Adios, amigos.